They trade Marina Mabrey, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I pitched today. It's like 5 in the morning. We hammer it. He tells everyone, listen, I'm telling you guys, Esteban Loaiza is in no condition to pitch tonight. We all hammer it. We bet against the Toronto Blue Jays. We even went to the game, Scott, even. Esteban Loaiza, word of no lie, bro. He threw 8 innings, a one-hit ball.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He says, you can't get in a position, Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, those guys are this tall. You're never gonna be as flexible as them. You got a lot more leverage and you got a lot of more moving parts in those dudes.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 is officially underway right here on the Early Line Armchair Quarterbacks Hot Topics. We got you covered. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. The fun has only begun because why? You're going to be up late again tonight. Maybe you'll watch the Phillies and the Dodgers. Maybe you won't, but maybe you watch some NFL football on the West Coast with a doubleheader where the second game starts at 10 o'clock tonight. Night Owls rejoice, which isn't me. I'm upset that second game is 10 o'clock, Joe, just the way it is.
Well, who are you kidding, Donnie? You got your Phillies playing tonight on the West Coast. That's going to be a 10 o'clock game. You know you're going to watch the first couple of innings of that, so you might as well keep the Charger-Raider game on. And then, of course, you'll be doing the show with one eye open tomorrow morning.
Now, of course. Maybe a hats and T-shirts type of game in Philadelphia as they can clinch the division over the New York Mets with a victory tonight. We'll see how that one certainly plays out. But let's get to the hottest topics across the sports landscape, which includes Sunday Night Football from the Dome in Minnesota. Oh, the homecoming for J.J. McCarthy, the conquering hero. What a fourth quarter performance. We found our franchise starting quarterback. Not so fast. 7 out of 8 quarters. He has been brutal, which included last night's 22-6 defeat to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons get right at 1-1. Minnesota drops to 1-1, and a lot of question marks about, man, why did you let Sam Darnold go? Maybe he should have been your starting quarterback this year, Joe.
Yeah, and listen, there's going to be games like this, Donnie. I mean, he's a rookie, folks. Let's be realistic here. Yes, he's been in that system for a couple of years, but that injury last year, having to sit out, there are going to be growing pains, and they're banged up on the offensive line. There's a learning curve here. Minnesota's defense has to get healthy because I think they're going to keep him in a lot of games, and he will get better as the season goes. But kudos to Atlanta putting it all together there. Tough to win on the road in the NFL. They did a really good job last night.
Certainly. How about the Cincinnati Bengals, 31-27 over the Jaguars? Don't look now, but the Bengals are 2-0. Oh, this is everything that we wanted, except it wasn't. Joe Burrow is the key to your season. We might be looking at Joe Burrow down for multiple weeks or multiple months. We just don't know. If it's the surgery route, it's going to take longer than shorter. If it's not the surgery route, he's probably still down for some time. You love the fact that the Bengals are 2-0. And yes, Jake Browning has been around the block. service yesterday, scored a touchdown late in the game on a quarterback sneak. They won the game, but you're not going to win anything if Joe Burrow is down for as much as 3 months of this NFL season. They get the victory, which means they won the battle, but maybe, Joe, they lost the war at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, just worst case scenario. The reality is, though, listen, Browning has been the guy there for a while. This isn't a new guy in the system. You know, he went 4-3 as a starter a couple of years ago when Burrow missed those 7 games. So he's more than capable as a backup. So what that means is that the defense and everyone else is going to have to step it up here till they can figure it out. And I believe Zach Taylor has a press conference scheduled this afternoon with an update. So fingers crossed, Bengal fans, that no surgery needed, and he'll be out maybe a month and a half, and he'll be back before you know it.
New sheriff in town. It's Jalen Hurts, and it's Nick Sirianni. Moving the pendulum forward now. 3 straight victories over the Kansas City Chiefs. Pulverized them in the Super Bowl, then went into their building week number 2 in a must-win game and beat them again. 20-17. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles offense didn't really get on track. Saquon was decent, 88 yards and a touchdown, but it was the Philadelphia Eagles defense against that limping wide receiver core, which was the dominant part. Patrick Mahomes tried everything, 7 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown, but got no help at the wide receiver position. And maybe the key play of the game was Travis Kelce on the goal line, deflecting a pass from Patrick Mahomes into the arms of Makuba, who returned it 41 yards. The Eagles went down to score a touchdown instead of giving up a touchdown, and the game was basically over at that point. Big-time win for the Eagles. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs. Doesn't sound right.
Well, listen, Chiefs fans, think about this here. It could be much worse. You could be the Bengals, and you could lose Joe Burrow, or you could lose Patrick Mahomes. But you have both. You have Mahomes still there. You have Andy Reid. And the fact this was always going to come down a notch or two. But the idea that the sky is falling in Kansas City is everyone settle down here. They lost 2 for a team, Donnie, that hasn't lost 1-score games in 2 years. They start the season off 0-2. That was the regression we knew was coming here. I think they're going to be fine. This is a team that's won 3 out of 5 Super Bowls here in the Mahomes era. They've never started 0-2. But yes, I think the era is not exactly over yet. Be very careful sticking a fork in the Chiefs here at this point.
The spot was very good, which rather sharps were lined up on Kansas City. We understand that. You're still in your own building. It's still Patrick Mahomes and it's Andy Reid. But also, the spot would have been much better if you had Worthy there and also Rashee Rice, right? We can agree upon that. Once they have those 3 wide receivers, excuse Hollywood Brown, in their fold, will be much better. Travis Kelce will have more open routes here. Patrick Mahomes will have more time, and the running game will open up. When you don't have a passing game, of course, you're going to be shut down, which is what the Philadelphia Eagles did to them yesterday. So we're not giving up hope there, certainly, on the Kansas City Chiefs. Giving up hope on the Yankees? No, not really. They'll make the playoffs. But yesterday was the Boston Red Sox plating 6 runs in the first inning to knock off the New York Yankees 6-4 in that game. Crochet, 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, and 12 strikeouts, Joe, in the victory.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's had great success against this Yankee team over the last couple of seasons here. They needed the win. They could not afford to be swept by the Yankees in their own building here. So they did exactly what they needed to do. And now the Yankees get to take on the minor league Twins, and they'll beat the Twins up, and we're off and running once again. So final 2 weeks. If I'm the Yankees, Toronto have the American League East. We'll see you later. We're more than happy with that top wild card spot.
Playoffs? Yeah, both of those teams looks like they're careening towards the playoffs. So some fun over the final 2 weeks of the season. How about Shedeur Sanders? Baltimore, one of the most stable franchises in the NFL. Lamar Jackson as a starting quarterback picked up the phone and goes, Shedeur, we want to make you a Raven. He goes, beat it. Hang up this phone. I don't want to hear from him again. I want to try to start my career right away. Also, with longevity of a career at a quarterback position, I would love to get drafted on a team like the Baltimore Ravens because you can learn from Lamar Jackson. That's 4 years of a contract that you have in there. And then also the unknown, if let's just say you start a game or two and it looks good, then you hit the open free agency market and make a ton of money. Sometimes I don't understand what athletes go through. Like, I want to play now. Understand this. Sometimes it's good to sit back a year or two, Joe, when you get to the NFL. Come on, Shedeur.
he's lucky he's even on the roster. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
Because when that game was blown out, who did they go to in a backup role for Oh yeah, that's right, Dylan Gabriel, the guy they drafted ahead of you. You're lucky you're even on a roster and not some sort of practice squad at this point. So let's just keep it down and wait for your opportunity, do the work, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple of years under center.
Talking about practice squads, UCLA feels like they have a practice squad as a team getting hammered on a week-to-week basis, firing your football coach 3 games into the season. Maybe you should have did it at the end of last year, but he's out, man. Goodbye. Goodbye, Mr. Foster.
It's awful. I mean, to me, that was the game. He was coaching for his job. This was, if you were going to get right, Donnie, that's the game you get right against New Mexico, right? That's where you got to put it all together. Instead, they lay an egg, and he's out of a job, and that program is now in a tailspin.
Cal Raleigh drops another bomb yesterday, ties Mickey Mantle's record with 54 home runs. And by the way, he is a catcher, but doesn't make a dent there in the MVP race. Aaron Judge to a minus 1,500. Cal Raleigh's a plus 550. What a season, though, for the big dumper, Joe, huh?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, again, anytime your name is associated with Mickey Mantle, switch hitting catcher of all things, 54 home runs. That's pretty darn impressive. But again, nobody will remember if Seattle doesn't make some noise in the postseason, where that's where all of this is going to matter.
They got a game lead over the Stros. They could have some home field advantage. Talking about home field advantages tonight, it's Houston and it's Las Vegas. A preview of the Monday Night Doubleheader right here on the early line.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically 2 of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
I pitched today. It's like 5 in the morning. We hammer it. He tells everyone, listen, I'm telling you guys, Esteban Loaiza is in no condition to pitch tonight. We all hammer it. We bet against the Toronto Blue Jays. We even went to the game, Scott, even. Esteban Loaiza, word of no lie, bro. He threw 8 innings, a 1-hit ball.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
He says, you can't get in a position, Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, those guys are this tall. You're never gonna be as flexible as them. You got a lot more leverage and you got a lot of more moving parts than those dudes.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for some football? And it's a double-header variety. Now, I liked when the NFL, Joe Ranieri, was like, hey, we'll give you a double-header on Monday Night Football, 1 at 7, 1 at 7:30. Love it. Get the 2 TVs out. We're in bed by 10 o'clock, and away we go. Now the party basically is just getting started at 10 o'clock in Vegas. Tonight we have Tampa Bay and Houston and Los Angeles, which is the Chargers, going up against Las Vegas. But let's focus on game number 1 tonight, Joe. 7 o'clock start. That's down in the Dome in Houston. Tampa Bay and Houston. It's Mayfield. It's Stroud. 1-0 Tampa Bay, 0-1 Houston Texans. The line opened up as a minus 2.5-point favorite here for the Houston Texans. It still sits there on game day, Joe. 43.5, down slightly to 42.5 across the board. Let's start here. Mayfield comes to town 1-0. Houston desperate for a victory. Two pretty good defenses here, but a really low total in a dome.
It is a low total here, but it's interesting. We saw some issues with the Tampa Bay Bucks against Atlanta on the road last week, but they had Baker Mayfield and that passing attack. Well, that saved him in that game. And can I tell you, it's going to have to save him in this game as well, because I do think Houston does some things really well here, especially at home. They're very well coached. I think Nick Chubb is going to have a really good game. They're going to have to take some of the pressure off of C.J. Stroud because that offensive line is a mess. They're already injured. It was questionable to begin with. But I tell you, the more I look at this game, it's going to come down to the defenses. And Baker Mayfield and that receiving core, that's a banged up secondary with Texas right now. I think the underdog, the more that I look at this, that dog might be barking here tonight with Tampa Bay to get it done.
Hey, take a look at the quarterbacks here. Similar with value here in that props market. C.J. Stroud, 229.5 as his prop. Baker Mayfield, 232.5 as his prop. So those numbers certainly moving live. You see that 235.5 dropping slightly here. The touchdown markets from the throw, just getting those updated odds. Baker Mayfield over 1.5 is now a plus 120 price. And you take a look at C.J. Stroud at a plus 134 price. Defenses, they're going to get a lot of pressure in this game tonight. We certainly can anticipate. If we look at the touchdown scores, Nick Chubb's a plus 100. Bucky Irvin plus 120, Nico Collins plus 140, Evans, and then Emeka Egbuka actually had a couple touchdowns on opening day. Is this one where you see a touchdown market, Joe, that you love and maybe a guy that you're looking forward to find that pay dirt?
Yeah, I kind of like Mike Evans here to get enough opportunities to be able to get it done, especially now that the young kid is going to get a ton of attention this week from Houston after he was kind of forgotten about last week in Atlanta. And guess what? He scored 2 touchdowns here. So I do think Evans is going to have an opportunity in the red zone to be able to get one here. So I like his price and Mike Evans. I also like, that Baker Mayfield, I believe, went 13-5 last year, Donnie, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He had 3 last week. What are the chances he does it again here tonight? I like him.
Ooh, slinging down in the dome. By the way, the wide receiver props here for receiving. Nico Collins, the top dog tonight, 76.5. No surprise there. He's certainly the lead dog in Houston. Didn't really show up all that much last week. Mike Evans, 64.5. Egbuka, 53.5. Bucky Irvin out of the backfield, 20.5. Sterling Shepard, 22.5. So you do get some value as far down as you go. Are we looking for a bounce back day here for Nico Collins and that offense for C.J. Stroud?
Gonna have to. I mean, listen, Houston didn't score a touchdown, and they lost their starting center in that game last week against the Rams. Not good. Now, this is going to be a little more manageable, I think, against this Bucs defense. But if this becomes a shootout, Donnie, right, then who are we giving the edge to here? Tampa? Or are we giving it to Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud? He's going to have to play a role in this game tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what happens as we get closer and closer to game time to see if we have any movement on that line. Plus 2.5, minus 2.5 splits here. Houston Texans a minus 152 favorite on the money line. And the total again at 42.5. But we do have a doubleheader in the building tonight. Just not in the same building, but 2 domes tonight out in Vegas. That's the Chargers and the Raiders. This line, similar to what we just talked about between the Texans and the Buccaneers, now sits at 3. If we look at the 46.5 as a total right now, home team underdog Chargers. Everybody's excited about that game 1 victory, which was a neutral site in Brazil over the Kansas City Chiefs. But the Raiders got a decent victory on the East Coast against the New England Patriots when they're beating the Miami Dolphins yesterday. What do we see out of this game, just starting it off between the Chargers and the Raiders for you, Joe?
I mean, it's okay. So let me see. Pete Carroll versus Harbaugh. All right, I'm going to give the edge to Harbaugh here. I'm also going to give a big edge to the starting quarterbacks, to the Chargers here. And while they are better than I think people thought with Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll here, the Raiders, The reality is, though, you beat the Patriots. Let's be realistic here. I think the Chargers are a different animal. I don't understand the line and the love for the Raiders here. I think it's going to come down to Herbert, the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to win it, and he's going to do just that.
Yeah, I like the way both of these quarterbacks performed last week. There's no doubt about that. But Geno Smith, we're looking at his passing yardage prop for this game, 240.5. And then you take a look at Justin Herbert here, sitting at 254.5. If we look at the touchdown props, Geno Smith to throw two of those, plus 102. 2 touchdowns out of Justin Herbert in the air, that's a minus 138 price. I was really impressed. Like, the one thing we do know is, coming into the season, Harbaugh loves to run the football, doesn't really want to stay aggressive, in the words of, let's just throw it all over the place. But I was really liking the wide receivers, the offense, the downfield shots last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Do we think we have that same sort of offense tonight where it's like, you know what, Justin, we're going to let it rip here?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Although I expect Najee Harris to have a bigger role in this game as well. Harbaugh is going to run, and you know it, but it's usually going to be set up to give Herbert an opportunity to get some shots down the field. The defense for the Raiders, the weakest part is the secondary, and I expect them to take advantage of that. But you can't bet the Raiders until you know what the status of Brock Bowers is. Big time hurt last week. They're still not sure if he's going to go here tonight. That's a big loss if he's not on that field for Geno Smith.
Yeah, sort of opens up the rest of the patterns there, certainly for the wide receivers. If we are looking at Brock Bowers, he does have a prop bet listed tonight, Joe, at 61.5 yards. That's a pretty hefty number, not figuring on how many plays that he's actually going to be available tonight if he does go and how healthy he is. Ladd McConkey at 74.5, Keenan Allen 51.5, Quentin Johnson at 42.5 here. Stonehands making some big plays last week. Maybe it comes into play for this one. We're going to talk much more about these two NFL games coming up in the next segment. Make sure you keep the dial right here on the SportsGrid Network.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically 2 of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Doubleheader of Monday Night Football. Fantastic. You got to love it. More football, the better. That's always the creed that we love to have here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network. It's Sonny Right Side and it's Joe Ranieri. But let's take a look, too, because we're going to get back into these games and take a look at some of those prop bets. But let's look at the AFC West now. Two teams are going to play tonight, Joe. The Los Angeles Chargers, they're 1-0. The Las Vegas Raiders, they're 1-0. These two teams are going to play. One team is going to be 2-0. And the reason I bring that up is there's already an 0-2 team in your division, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They now sit at a plus 210 price to win this division, which will change tonight because if the Chargers win, they're a plus 150 favorite. That's going to drop. Same thing with the Vegas Raiders, plus 750 price, still in last place in the odds market. If they win, that number is going to change. So how do we feel, Joe, about the AFC West now that you will have a 2-0 team and an 0-2 Chiefs here? And can the Chiefs dig out and still win this division?
Yeah, yes, the Chiefs are absolutely not done. And you mentioned it earlier, Donnie, that now might be the time to look towards the Chief in that future market for the AFC West, given the fact that we all know reinforcements are coming. Listen, there's no shame in losing to the Chargers when you had an opportunity to win that game. They had an opportunity, and I can make the argument, should have won that game against the Eagles yesterday. Thanks, Travis Kelce, becoming more of a liability. You knock out the one deep threat that you have a couple of plays into the game in Brazil, and then you end up getting hit in the chest with a ball, nobody on you, that would have been the go-ahead touchdown, and instead it turned into an interception. So a couple of plays here or there, we're having a 2-0 conversation about the Chiefs and not an 0-2. So I don't think all is lost just yet.
It is so crazy how, like, a couple plays a game really make the difference. Like the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Dallas Cowboys. If you don't have that many drops from CeeDee Lamb and a fumble by Miles Sanders, they probably win. But they did have those drops and they did fumble. Same thing with Philadelphia and Kansas City yesterday. If Travis Kelce catches that ball in the goal line and they score, and the Eagles don't score off of that turnover, maybe the Eagles are 0-2 and the Kansas City Chiefs like, okay, we're back to 1-1, but they are not. And that's going to be interesting, where we're not used to Kansas City playing the hunter. They're always the hunted, being that big lead in that division. The teams try to track them down. It'll be fun to watch to see the adversity that Kansas City has to deal with, which they haven't had much of that adversity over the past couple of years, or at least in the Andy Reid / Patrick Mahomes era there. But let's get back to the marketplace tonight with that Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles Chargers game. The touchdown market prices: Omarion Hampton, a minus 120 price. Ashton Genty, minus 110. Then the plus money of Ladd McConkey, Brock Bowers, and Jacoby Myers. If I do look at the ground games, both of these teams do love to run the football. Would I be wrong to be crazy to say we don't get at least 2 rushing touchdowns in this game, Joe? I feel like we're going to get that.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, listen, we know the Chargers are certainly going to, in that red zone, try to pound it in there. But again, I'll say this: it's the secondary of the Raiders that's the weakest part of that defense, and I am sure Pete Carroll, especially if Brock Bowers doesn't go, is going to want to get Genty involved in this game some way, somehow, Donnie. He's going to want this kid to have, his coming out party. And what better way to do it than at home here with an opportunity to get a couple of shots into the end zone? So what is he, minus 110? I could see it happening here.
But let me ask you this question, too, because Quentin Johnston cannot catch. The wide receiver for the Los Angeles Chargers. Maybe they're going to phase him out because Mike Williams is coming back, but Mike Williams down for the season and probably retired now with that back injury. But look at Quentin Johnston last week, Joe. 5 for 79 and 2 touchdowns here. I always like a go-to guy that's hot and you want to keep him involved in the offense. And I would never look to this guy because he always drops the ball. But 42.5 is his receiving yard prop tonight. You should be able to get after that secondary for the Vegas Raiders. Could we see back-to-back quality performances out of Quentin Johnston for you tonight?
I don't know what kind of super glue or sticker. I don't know what was going on there last week with Quentin Johnston, Donnie. And listen, this guy would be one of the most dangerous receivers in the game if we could rely on him actually holding on to the ball. The guy is a monster target. He can run. He can, this is, if they figured something out in the offseason, he is a very, very big problem for defenses this year.
Quickly, Joe, 2 talented running backs. If I give you one pick here, Hampton and Genty, over 56.5 yards for Hampton and Genty at 68.5. Who would you take? Who's going over?
I would take Genty. I think Genty's
Okay.
going to have all the opportunities to go up and over here in this game tonight at home. They got to
There
get
you
him
go.
going.
Get him going here. Get that play action pass working. Get Geno some outlets at wide receiver, and also key ingredients. Joe pointed out, Brock Bowers, if he's healthy, that makes a major difference tonight. You know what else makes a major difference? Major League Baseball on the horizon. Let's handicap them next.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
If baseball was a person, Joe Ranieri, it would sing to itself, "Don't you forget about me." Yeah, because we love NCAA football. We love NFL football. We like Major League Baseball and tolerate it in September before it really starts to crank up in October. But you are going to have pitching mismatches on a day-to-day basis that you still need to take a look at and watch out for and bet some money and win some money. Let's take a look at the Major League Baseball card tonight, Joe. We're going to start in Chicago. Actually, we'll start with Chicago, who's playing in Pittsburgh. Jamison Tyone going up against Ashcraft, and a favorite here slightly for the Chicago Cubs. And the total in this game listed at 8 now across the board. The Cubs fighting for that playoff contention. They'll get in. I don't know if they're going to be able to chase down the Milwaukee Brewers, who are struggling as of late, but everybody knows you go to Pittsburgh, the expectations are Pittsburgh's going to score 1 or 2 runs. You should be able to beat them, Joe.
Well, you should. Kind of a homecoming of sorts, too, right? Jamison Tyone started his career, I believe, with Pittsburgh here. But the Cubs, listen, they had a couple of big games over the weekend. They needed to win against Tampa at home. They got that done. Pittsburgh has been, at least in the second half, better at home than some have expected. And Ashcraft has been great. He was a reliever to start the season, Donnie, and since they've actually took him out of the bullpen to become a starter, he's actually been pretty decent here. Still don't like the Cubs' bats. They still have issues and injuries all over the place. Yeah, to me, I'm not expecting a ton of runs here. I think the under is still the way to look with these two teams.
By the way, we will continue the conversation in Major League Baseball in just a few moments, but breaking news in the NFL, Joe Ranieri, Adam Schefter just reported the Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow will need toe surgery that will sideline him a minimum of 3 months. The absolute worst case scenario for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe, just came to fruition. How do we feel about that now? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's not great news. But I do think then the overreaction of what we're going to see in the market this week against the Minnesota Vikings, which is the team they're playing, should be definitely worth keeping an eye on, and maybe a bet on Cincinnati here. Because, again, I'll say it, Browning has been there. He's done this before. He knows the system. He's got more weapons than any other backup quarterback could dream of having in the NFL. That defense has to come together. And right now, I'm seeing that line now. It opened up 1.5 Minnesota. I'm seeing 3.5, maybe even 4 starting to pop in. So here we go. Let's fade Cincinnati. I don't think so. I still like Cincinnati, especially this week.
Now, here's the interesting part about it, too, because I'm just looking at FanDuel right now. They're a plus 800 now to win the AFC North despite being 2-0. And that's a direct derivative of Joe Burrow going down at this point. But also, sometimes your handicapping mind starts to work in it, like almost like a counterbalance, if you will, because most people look at this injury. You can't bet Cincinnati. They're done. It's over. Now, granted, Joe, if you took their early season, win total, they're 2-0 still. They're not going to get as good a quarterback play as you're going to get from Joe Burrow. We understand that. They're in a talented division, which I do think the Baltimore Ravens are always the most talented team, and maybe they could have got a challenge from the Cincinnati Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow. But now when I take a look at myself and go, okay, how can we actually make this into a profitable spot? So let's just go to and I'm just looking on the fly right now because we don't know these odds or statistics of how they change since we just got this information that it's going to be down for 3 months. But to make the playoffs now, and I don't know if they're even on the board, the Cincinnati Bengals are a plus 180. I would wait this one out because the betting public, for the most part, is going to fade everything they can about the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So they're not going to win the division, but they can make the playoffs. I want to see how low that price point goes, but also, are you going to be able to get a crazy number on, let's just say, a Super Bowl or a conference championship? Because understand this, the minimum of 90 days, let's just say the best case scenario is it takes him 75 days to get back on the football field. You still have the entire month of November, let's just say the remaining parts of November and December still to play. And if they're hanging around in the balance, if they get to the playoffs and he's healthy, you might have a really good price. So for me, Joe, not giving up as you are not giving up as well in the Bengals, you might be able to find some like gold at the end of the rainbow, no?
Well, I think you're going to have to pick and choose your spots here. Yeah. But, we just watched Browning go 8 plays, 92 yards on a game-winning touchdown yesterday. That didn't look like a guy that's overwhelmed who hasn't been there and done this before. He has. He's done it with this team, and he's got a healthy Higgins and Chase and a running game, and he has got more weapons by his side than they'll be fine, but you got to pick and choose your spots with them. The long game, let's wait and see. But I think in the immediate, I think there's going to be opportunities to zigzag with this team when everyone's going to look to fade them, especially when they have games coming up against Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh, once they get through Minnesota this week. So I think there's some opportunities where the market is going to totally overreact, and Cincinnati is going to be a must-play team.
I think you're right about that, too, because you know what? You bring up a good point here. So as we're doing this right on the fly, I'm going to bring up the Cincinnati Bengals schedule here, because when we talk about how you want to approach this, today, you fade them. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I don't think there's going to be value in fading them because those numbers are going to change drastically at that point. But if you do look and say, where's the bottom out point? Because keep in mind, they're not 0-2, Joe, and Burrow got hurt. It's like, well, that's a wrap on it. They're 2-0.
Correct.
Can they just be a 500 football team until he gets back? Because if you look at the win against the Browns, that's 1-0. The win against the Jaguars, it's 2-0. The Vikings say, well, still winnable football game. Did you see what J.J. McCarthy was doing? The Broncos might be tough. The Lions, the Packers, the Steelers. I'm telling you right now, more information will come out on Joe Burrow as well. If I am looking at a price point where I want to actually take Cincinnati, I wait. I don't take them against the Vikings. I don't take them in the Denver Broncos. After the Lions game and the Packers, that looks bad. Or the Steelers might be able to beat them too. I say after Thursday, October 16th, which is the Packers game, which is the Steelers game, which let's just say they lose that. That's where my buyback starts, because we'll know if Joe Burrow is coming back, if his rehab is going well, and that'll be the low point of the season because after that, Joe, it's the Jets, it's the Bears, then a bye week at the Steelers, then the Patriots. That's my bye game right there after the Pittsburgh Steelers game and before the Jets game there, October 26th.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Donnie, the value is going to be with Cincinnati. But whether Burrow or Browning was the quarterback, keep in mind that a lot of those games, those big games coming up, you're going to need the defense to be better. Don't forget, it was the defense that was the weak part of this team over the last couple of seasons, and the offensive line, which has been the issue. Yep. So the defense, if they step up, and the offensive line can protect Browning, they're going to have a shot in all of these games. The difference is they're not 0-2, 0-3, 0-4 to start the season. They're 2-0, Donnie, so they've got a little bit of breathing room. But this just means everyone else has got to step up here.
There you go. Thursday night, October 16th. After that football game, I'm going to look towards the Cincinnati Bengals if Joe Burrow will be back on the mend, and he is coming back and seeing what that actual price point would be. Also, keep in mind, Adam Schefter with a retweet today of his initial tweet. The Bengals have been calling around to other free agent quarterbacks since after Joe Burrow's injury, knowing they will have to add at least one more to the roster. So let's extend the conversation in this respect, Joe. I don't think they're going out to get a top-name quarterback a la Kirk Cousins. This sounds like they're just looking to add veteran experience behind Jake Browning. Or do you see it a different way?
No, what choice do they have now at this point? When they're never going to afford a Kirk Cousins, so that organization is never going to pay the money. But, I mean, a Jameis Winston has to be on the block, right? You got to be able to pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, listen, can we get Jameis in the building a lot more affordable? So, yeah, I think there are some names that they'll be more than happy to get behind him.
Early bird gets the worm.
Andy
We saw that
Dalton.
yesterday to Joe Burrow. Maybe, look, man, there's a lot of guys out there on the streets here. Maybe Shedeur Sanders goes over there, Joe. How do you like that? No. Shedeur leading the Bengals into the playoffs. This is a spot he always wanted to be in at this point here. But look at that. The NFL always rules the roost. We were talking about Major League Baseball, had to flip it back over to the NFL. But you know what? We're getting back to baseball after this segment. Let's get popping.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically two of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Sorry to disrespect everybody and drop Major League Baseball. We love Major League Baseball. When news like Joe Burrow is going to be out for 3+ months here and the ramifications that are going to happen around the AFC, which including when Joe Burrow can come back, we had to preempt the program for baseball. But back to the program of Major League Baseball now in Washington. Two bad baseball teams, which you love to see. Why? Spencer Strider, hey, man, that guy can win the Cy Young. No, he can't this year. He's been absolutely brutal. You know what might be worse? Mitchell Parker, the left-handed pitcher on the mound tonight for those Nationals. 9:03, 9:04 on the rotation. A 6:45 start tonight. A heavy favorite for Atlanta. Anywhere between -160 to -165 and a total of 9. I don't even want to handicap this game without just saying there will be runs tonight. Both of these pitchers absolutely stink out loud. Give me the over, Joe. We're scoring runs in Washington tonight.
Yeah, and listen, Washington's playing much better baseball in the months of September. I mean, the Braves finally won a game last night, but I think they're 4-8 in September, right? But the Nats, well, they're playing pretty good. They're 9-4 so far this month, and they've been hitting the ball, to your point. They've been crushing it here. Atlanta, not so much, but given what we've seen from Strider, who's still, if they're still rolling him out there, Donnie, they're still working on some things with him. I thought he did a good job last time out against the Cubs. He only gave up 2 runs and 6 hits in 6 innings. The problem, Atlanta didn't hit, and they lost that game. So I think Washington is absolutely the team to back in this spot. Plenty of value. I get the better team, better hitting team right now. Yeah, I'll take the Nats.
Call the rookie up tonight. Tampa Bay is at home down in Steinbrenner Field, which we love in Tampa, heat and humidity. How about Toronto bringing up their 2024 first-round pick for a start in Major League Baseball? Trey Savage? I'm going to say his last 8 minutes at this point. Always tough to handicap those, but high expectations and a favorite for Toronto in first place in the AL East, going up against Griffin Jackson at the total, listed at 8.5. Any thoughts on a youngster getting his first Major League Baseball start in the midst of a pennant/playoff race?
Well, he should be used to the minor league ballpark that he's about to pitch in, but I don't know that that's great either, to tell you the truth. Listen, I don't like this Toronto team on the road. I think it's a nice story. Boyle, I think, is going for Tampa Bay here. So once again, Tampa is going to be looking to the bullpen here. I don't know. Call me crazy. I think that Tampa at home may be spoiling this kid's debut tonight.
Yeah, we're going to jump around to some of these Major League Baseball games to make sure we get those in, the important ones here. The Philadelphia Phillies on the West Coast to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. 2 first-place teams here. Big game scenario. Why? Could be a hat and a T-shirt game for the Philadelphia Phillies. They win, they clinch the division over the New York Mets, and also the Dodgers want to stay clear of the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers with Emmett Sheehan on the mound going up against Ranger Suarez. They, talking about the Dodgers, are the favorite here at a -132 to -135 price, depending on where you're shopping today. You take a look at the total, listed at 8.5. We know it's a pitcher's ballpark. Ranger Suarez back in form tonight, Joe. Do we see 9 runs or no?
Yeah, he's been absolutely bonkers this last month here. Whatever mechanically he was working on, he is fixed, because his last 4 starts, 3-0 with a 0.38 ERA in 24 innings. That's pretty good here. I'm pretty impressed with what we've seen from him. This feels like it's going to be very much a playoff atmosphere here tonight. This could be a peek ahead to what we're going to get over the next month, Donnie. So I don't know that we're going to get as many runs as people think we're going to get in this game.
Yanks looking to stay in the playoff race. Of course, they're going to make the playoffs, but maybe they can make a charge to take down Toronto if Toronto does stumble down the final 2 weeks of the season. But they're going to be in Minnesota tonight. And on the mound, it's Carlos Rodon, the left-handed pitcher, going up against Simeon Woods Richardson. Not a great pitcher by any stretch. That 8.5 totals, they're up to 9s across the board. You take a look at the favorite here, close to a $2 favorite for the Yankees, as you see the placard there at a -194 price. The one thing I do know tonight is we're probably going to get runs, and it's going to come from the New York Yankees. That's my angle. Yankees score tonight, but I don't know if I want to lay the close to $2 price with them.
So the Twins in the second half this year, 18-35 with a -81 run differential. Yeah, I'll take the Yankees on the run line. I might even alt line it here, Donnie. Give me maybe 2 runs here for the Yankees to win this one.
How about that? Let's get to a playoff race here as well. One would have thought Arizona would be in the playoff race. They are not. Zach Allen's going to take them out going up against San Francisco's Mr. Tang. 9.5 to 9s across the board, but a favor towards Arizona. The reason we bring that up is the Diamondbacks are only 2 games back of the wild card. The Giants only 1.5 game back of the wild card. And I look at this and say to myself, there's no way Arizona can make it. Like, I just don't understand this team and the concept of trading away your players and still playing good baseball. Legitimate chances. Like, the Mets continue to stumble. This is a huge series for both of these two teams.
It really is. I mean, and listen, they just gave up a whole lot of touchdowns in 2 games against the Dodgers here. The Giants pitching got absolutely shellacked here. And Tang can't be trusted. Zach Allen, listen, he's had his tough moments this season early on, but as of late, the big reason why they're that close, Donnie, is he's actually not been terrible here. They just lost 2 of 3 in San Francisco last week. The Diamondbacks did. I think they start this series off with a win here tonight.
My goodness. And by the way, Texas and Houston, the Battle of Texas. Well, this game is probably, no, it's not. The race isn't over. Yep. You look at the wild card race. Right now, if the season ended today, Houston is in as a wild card. Only 2 games back is the Texas Rangers. Jack Leiter's on the mound going up against Alexander here for Houston. Slight favorite towards Houston, around a -125 price, depending on what place you're shopping at, and a total of 8.5. If you say Texas sweeps this, they're in the playoffs, and the Astros are out. Waking up from the dead, some of these baseball teams in the late parts of the season, Joe.
Keep in mind, too, here, if the Rangers, who I believe they've played 10 games, they were up 6-4 in the season series. They win 1 game, Donnie. They win the tiebreaker. And that could very well be important here against this Houston team. So this is a huge series for the Rangers.
No doubt about it. Same thing with the Cincinnati Reds here going up against Liberatore, and the Cardinals are basically dead in the water, but Cincinnati trying to chase down the New York Mets if they can. Roughly a pick 'em across multiple outlets here, and a total, I should say, listed at 8.5. So even though we are focused on a doubleheader for Monday Night Football, Major League Baseball bringing a little bit of a powder keg tonight. Love to see it. That's what we do here. Let's continue to have more fun on the early line coming up next.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It was nice to see that even though they couldn't follow the same blueprint as last season, or just the way that everyone thought their offense was going to run this year, Josh Jacobs struggled and Jordan Love stepped up. And if you're a Packer fan, that's what you were hoping to see, is that in the moments where you can't rely on the run, can the quarterback that you invested a lot of money into, now draft capital, putting weapons around him, rise to the occasion, and he did.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
When the game is on the line and provide the kill shot to knock out an opponent. It's like they're afraid to put the Buffalo Bills away. The safer call was giving it to Derrick Henry and giving it to Lamar Jackson on the ground, as opposed to putting it in your MVP's hands and allowing him to make plays in the passing attack. I just don't understand it.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
They trade Marina Mabry, then they turn around, and then obviously they fire Teresa Weatherspoon, and it's been a hot mess. You go and, draft Cardozo and Reese, basically 2 of the same player, meaning bigs that can't step out and shoot. So it's a little bit of a clown show when you talk about the Chicago Sky.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
fun's only beginning today on the SportsGrid Network. We just set the table. We are the appetizer for the rest of your SportsGrid day. And what a day it is here in Major League Baseball, in NFL. Doubleheader action tonight. Can't get enough of this stuff. But this is the part of the show we like to reach out to the public and get their opinions. Here's our Fade the Public poll. All right, doubleheader tonight. 4 different ways to go. So if you're not following us at SportsGrid on X, what the heck are you doing with your life? Because you can vote on these each and every day, and we put up the results right here on the morning show. The question was asked today, very simple. What is your best bet for Week 2's Monday Night Football doubleheader? The choices: the Bucs plus 2.5, the Texans minus 2.5, the Chargers minus 3, the Raiders getting 3 points here. The favorite right now is the Chargers slightly at a -3 favorite over the Raiders. That's 38% of the votes that are coming in currently. You know who's on the low end of the total poll? It's the Raiders getting 3 points at home tonight. Do you agree with this poll, Joe? Which way did you go?
I'm kind of agreeing with them here, Donnie, with these games here tonight. But I'm still thinking, is there a possibility here, Donnie, that not one but 2 more outright dog winners could take center stage here tonight? So maybe a Bucs Raiders money line parlay could very well be in store for one of us here tonight.
How about that? Cashing in tickets here. We'll see. I actually voted on the Texans tonight at -2.5 at 17.6%. So basically, I am fading the public, and we'll see how that one turns out. But a doubleheader in Houston tonight and out of Vegas. We love to see it at this point. But you know what we love to do here? Win some money for the people in our final segment. It's called Bye, Bye, Bye. We were 1-1 combined on Friday, Joe. UCLA, I don't know what the heck they were doing, but certainly throwing in the towel. For me, it was the Milwaukee Brewers over 4.5. Absolutely crushed that team total. So 1-1 as a team, 2-0 is the goal tonight. So Joe Ranieri, for the people on a Monday, where are you going to make some extra cash tonight?
I am going to go back to the diamond in Major League Baseball because we got a couple of huge series here in the final 2-week stretch. And there's none bigger, I think, than the one out west with the Dodgers and the Phillies here, where the Phillies, with a win, they break out the champagne. They clinch themselves the East. They end up not having to worry about it the rest of the way. The Dodgers coming in hot, but I love this pitching battle here tonight. Both of these teams, this could be a preview. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere tonight. Sheehan has been outstanding for the Dodgers here down the stretch. But you know what? So is Ranger Suarez. He has been absolutely lights out. The Phillies are going to need him to be. Wasn't a shock that they lost to the Royals yesterday, knowing the Dodgers were on deck. The Dodgers beat up some bad Giant pitching over the last couple of days. I don't think that continues here against Suarez tonight. I'm going to cut the game in half. I'm going to go under 4.5 runs in the first 5, Donnie. I think this is a bit of a pitcher's battle early on in this game.
Takes 5 to beat you there. And by the way, 4.5 is a key number for me. Why? Because I'm going to go here to the Twin Cities. It's the New York Yankees taking on the Minnesota Twins. Rodon versus Simeon. Woods Richardson. A heavy favorite for the Yankees, but that's not where I'm going tonight. I take a look at Woods Richardson's last 60 days in Major League Baseball, Joe. A 164 ERA minus, a FIP of 161, an xFIP of -130, an ERA of close to 7, and a SIERA at 5 even. Runs will come the way of the New York Yankees tonight. So I took an alt team total. I didn't want to go 5.5 at plus money because that takes 6 runs. Can they get that tonight? I think they can. But I took it the opposite direction. I'll pay a little juice here. 4.5 as a team total at a -148 price. Simple layman's terms, get the 5 runs, cash in this ticket. I think they can do it. And also, Minnesota, it's September. It's probably going to be a little bit cold. There's PC Richard. They love it right now. No strikeouts, only home runs. 80 degrees in the Twin Cities tonight. The Yanks light up the night, Joe, with 5 runs from me.
I like it. I'm already on that run line, alt line there. -2, I'm laying with the Yanks here tonight at plus money because I'm with you, Donnie. Runs are coming and probably a lot of them for the Yankees.
How about that? The Cowboys signed Jadeveon Clowney as well to boost some depth. Jerry Jones making moves here. The 1-1 Cowboys, watch out. But we do have a doubleheader of Monday Night Football tonight. 2 games to get excited with, Joe. Will you be up, Joe, for both of these games? Will you be able to make it? No shot. No shot.
Oh, I know you're not, but I will absolutely be up catching some of those late games here, Donnie.
For Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri, the Early Line crew, thank you for watching along. And the best part about this, we do it again tomorrow morning. Join us then.